I decided we'd focus in today on the Carolina Panthers wide receivers. Because I think they elicit emotion. Right? I think when Adam Thielen was traded, some Panther fans out there feel like a friend was moving away from elementary school. When Jalen Coker got hurt, I feel like everybody's like the stock you bought for 6 cents that was now worth $400 tanked a little bit, right? And that was one of the things that you valued, right? You thought you were on top of it because you were on the ground floor. And then there was the cutting of Hunter Renfrow and the return of Hunter Renfrow. And then everybody's turning on Hunter Renfrow. And there was Xavier Legette, and everybody likes Xavier Legette. He's got the accent. He was super famous this offseason. He was at the Kentucky Derby as a social correspondent. And then the production hasn't been up with the fame. And then there's Fritterer McMillan, who's the top shelf, 8th overall pick. Represents all that is possible. And then there was week 1. And the pass game didn't live up to expectations. And immediately, I saw the Panther fans. Thielen would have caught that. Bryce actually isn't playing that bad. Nobody's making the plays. Why didn't Hunter Renfrow hold on to that pass as he got his head taken off? Then it became, it's high emotion in the other direction. And there's a lot of, what do they call it? Standing for Fritterer McMillan. Okay, so this offense is Fritterer McMillan and nobody else. Well, some of the production would say that, but I think there's a bigger problem here. First, let's hear from Dave Canales, the head coach of the Panthers, on his assessment of T-Mac, Fritterer McMillan's performance in week 1.
I thought he played fast. I thought he looked very comfortable out there one-on-one outside. We moved him around a little bit, and he showed an ability to be able to handle that. He and Bryce were on the same page timing-wise. So I was really pleased with the way he played. I'd love for him to come up with the big touchdown in the end zone, shot down the field, but he ran a beautiful route on it. And he really gave us a chance to have some explosives down the field and to just have a consistent target.
I thought Fritterer McMillan was very good. I think it says something that the bright spot had 68 yards receiving. But I thought Fritterer McMillan was very good. Here's the part that I want to emphasize about the Panthers wide receivers. There is a bit of chicken or the egg. Wide receiver is, more so than most, a very dependent position. Okay? An offensive lineman can have a really good day, give up no pressures, open up holes, right? You can have a good day as an offensive lineman, even if your quarterback isn't completing passes. They would just have all day to throw ducks, right? Like, you can have a good day independent of what's happening around you. A corner can give up no completions and have a low passer rating against. Meanwhile, the defense gives up a bunch of points because you can't stop the run, right? You can have a good day independent of what's going on elsewhere. Wide receivers can't have a good day if the quarterback and the offensive line are not doing their job. Or the offensive line or the quarterback are not doing their job, because the quarterback can't do it if the offensive line isn't doing their job. You can only do so much with what you're given. So I'm gonna say some statistics here, or at least one that I think illustrates how rough week 1 was. I was playing around with the stats on one of the NFL sites. Yards per route run, which is a really fascinating way to look at how successful a wide receiver is, right? Because you would think if you're running a ton of routes and you're not getting targeted, you're not getting open. Or your coaches are putting you in a position where you're running routes and you're not even an option, which in and of itself means you are a negative out there, right? The defense doesn't have to cover you. The other would be you're getting targeted, you're not catching it. The other would be you are being targeted and your quarterback's not doing it, right? It's the chicken or the egg. But of qualified receivers, there's a certain minimum. I think it's 3 targets. Of every receiver in the NFL in week 1, Xavier Legette and Hunter Renfrow were the second and third worst wide receivers in the league in yards per route run. Second and third worst. And both were targeted on at least 20% of the routes that they ran. So it wasn't as if they're just running decoy routes. They were being targeted, and they weren't being effective. The thing that everybody needs to decide, more specifically, the thing that Dave Canales and that coaching staff need to decide is it the chicken or the egg? Are they being two of the three worst productive receivers in the NFL this year based on volume and production? Or were they doing what they could do and being held back by the passing game as a whole? Were they doing everything possible, but the ball wasn't there? And I want to throw this out there. I think it's a different answer for each of them. Xavier Legette did strike me as somebody that had opportunities to make legit plays. Obviously, the one on the sideline is what everybody's going to reference, where he should have got his feet in bounds, and for whatever reason, he stretched to get out of bounds. It was a very strange execution of a play by Xavier Legette. Meanwhile, Hunter Renfrow, on at least two occasions, open, beat his man, and either got lit up or was a severely underthrown pass and it was able to be broken up by the defensive back. Now, those are both routes run with no yards gained, which is going to help the stat that we're mentioning, even though I don't think he did anything to get that zero. I mean, perhaps if he went full Hercules, he could have held on to the two where he got lit up, but that's a tough ask, right? NFL players hit hard in the secondary. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is, one, no receiver's perfect, okay? And I don't want to say I liked it, but I did think it was cosmic or karmically proving a point that Adam Thielen dropped a third down on Monday Night Football that was right in his hands. Because every time a Panthers receiver dropped a ball, even the very difficult ones, Jatavian Sanders, very contested catch, Hunter Renfrow, the ones where he got hit pretty darn hard, the diving one by Tepper McMillan. I saw all of the Adam Thielen would have caught it. Thielen would have caught it. Can't help but think Thielen would have caught it. Then the next night, Adam Thielen has on the face mask a first down and he drops it. And I'm just going see? NFL catches aren't always assumed by anybody, even veterans that have done it a long time and have noted great hands. Right? Everybody, no wide receiver is perfect. They're very dependent, so stats don't always show their own inefficiencies. But sometimes they do. It's a really complicated evaluation, which is why I do think you have to watch the tape. I do think you have to, if you're just going to look up stats, you're only going to get, I won't even say half the story. You're going to get a third of the story. Right? Because if Legette makes that catch and just simply puts his foot down 1 foot earlier, not even, a couple of inches earlier, he is not amongst the worst in yards per route run. If Hunter Renfrow has a ball thrown where he's wide open, even half as far as it should be, exaggerating, he's not in this list, right? There's were you holding yourself back or was someone else holding yourself back is the question. And Tepper McMillan, same thing, right? 68 yards. I think that very easily could have been 100 and something.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Now, he could have made great plays, but also I think a couple of the balls could have been on there a little bit better. Or how about this one? He makes a nice catch on the left sideline. What was it? Corbett's 7 yards downfield that gets called back. That's just an inefficient passing offense more than it is an inefficient wide receiver. So there's a lot of nuances to this. And I'll wrap it up by saying, if you were to look at many of the same style of statistics for Bryce Young, he's near the bottom of the NFL in darn near all of them. It's very difficult to be a premier producing wide receiver if your quarterback is near the bottom of darn near every statistic. It's why last year people were stretching and maneuvering and trying to figure out a way, because they would watch a Colts game and they would say, I think Josh Downs and Michael Pittman are good. but they were playing with Anthony Richardson, and it was just like, but for some reason they're not catching any of the targets, and they're not getting many yards, and they're not scoring many touchdowns, but I watch it and it says they're pretty good. Daniel Jones shows up, and I know Downs didn't have a great game, but Pittman went bananas and Warren went bananas. It's like, oh, look at that. You don't need to have Peyton Manning out there. You just need somebody who's not at the very, very bottom of the statistics, and guys can flourish. If Bryce Young gets, I'm not saying he needs to be a top 10 quarterback. If he plays 50% better than he played on Sunday next week, I would expect quite a bit more production from Fritterer McMillan and at least one other receiver, whether it be Sanders as a pass-catching tight end, Renfro. It'd be nice if it's Leggett, but I'm not holding my breath for that one. Like I do think there is some. I forget which one was chicken or the egg. I do think there's some chicken holding them back rather than some egg holding them back, right? I think there's some passing offense holding back receivers, maybe as much as receivers not being efficient enough within themselves.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the game plans are going to look like going into Arizona. Like, how does Dave Canales evolve in terms of the play calling and everything? Because it felt like so many of the play calls that we saw were just a repeat of last season in terms of like, all right, well, let's just throw a screenplay out here. Like, I can't remember the last time a Dave Canales screenplay actually worked in terms of actually picking up a chunk play. It's like, okay, you may have got 3 or 4 yards, but I don't know. I've seen that happen and fail too many times, and I still got a question. It's like, are you actually doing something to help your receivers in this regard?
And it goes back to something I've said a million times for Dave Canales. He needs better layups for his passing offense.
Yeah.
If Xavier Leggett and Hunter Renfro and that squad is struggling so much, you know, I even for some reason in my mind's eye I'm seeing the it's not a screen per se. Actually, maybe it was a design screen, but the quick ball that Leggett on the right, and then it looked like he was running back and forth in a phone booth. Like, that's a tough way to just like see one go through the hoop. Get a play action move, right? Get a something where you can just have a dump off and have some success. It doesn't have to be a 70-yard touchdown. The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. I am very, very interested to see statistically what happens with that pass offense. Needs to get better.